Welcome again to EduTalks Tips and Tricks for Online Teaching. Follow us on social media, subscribe through clicking on the bell button so that you don't miss any of the future episodes. And thank you for watching us. My guest today is Guy Pelek, and he's a freelance English teacher. Hello, Guy, and thank you for agreeing to be
Hi.
interviewed for Tips and Tricks
Thank you
for
for
online
having me.
teaching. So, what are your tips?
All right, 3 things to remember teaching online, and I will elaborate soon. You are not alone, you are innovative, and you are a great listener. 3 things that I think every teacher should bear in mind when approaching classes with children, teenagers, even adults. So the first thing, you are not alone. Use the internet. Well, the greatest thing about teaching online is that you have every piece of information and knowledge available online. For example, if I want to teach about Barcelona, so in a classroom, I show a book with some pictures. But when I teach online, I can take them on a walk in the streets of Barcelona using Google Maps. I can show great videos, I don't know, thousands of them. I can show them Instagram influencers showing Barcelona, showing how people actually live in Barcelona. I'll give an example. Many teachers like the idea of scavenger hunt, and this is an example of something I often do with my students. Here we have an example of a video that went super viral in 2020. Just a 15 or 20-second video on TikTok. But behind it, there's a great story of a very interesting man that can be a platform, can be that can be the source of searching, of investigation. I let my students follow the story, connect the dots, learn themselves, and also express themselves in English. For example, I begin with watching a short video, right? And we talk and we describe the video, again, enhancing the use of the language. And then I present to them with a question. Okay, for example, a question that follows this video can be about how this man's life changed thanks to going viral. And then we start looking for clues and hints. For example, I follow his name on TikTok, and then I let the children explore more about his life, where he lives, what he does. Okay, every short video can be a clue. Does he have family? What does he do now? Okay, what did he do before the video? Right? If there is some missing information, for example, I don't know, about his job or about his work, about where he lives, we can search it together. Again, I'm going back to the previous one. Let's say he lives in Idaho. My students have no idea where it is. We search, we find more about that. We kind of like put together the pieces of the puzzle to learn about this man. And even though it may be a very anecdotal story, it's a platform for students to explore and to learn themselves and to, I don't know, make an effort learning about a person, learning about cultures. That's something that I personally try to do and try to give to my children, to my students. My next point is you are innovative, reinvent yourself. I collected here the periodic element of teachers that I found online, written by a great educator whom I don't know personally. I just found it online, right? Again, as part of the research I do as a teacher.
Wow.
Many apps and platforms, most of them are free or contain some free features, right? You can subscribe or have a membership. Some of them are very known. Let's see, there is Miro, social networks, YouTube. I think other gaming platforms like Kahoot is there. I think Kahoot is quite famous, but I can show an example. Well, Kahoot basically allows you to create surveys, games, questionnaires, educational ones. Okay, this is, for example, a class of mine learned about animals and about body parts of animals. I use that to have a quiz in class. What happens is that all of the students connect with their mobile phones while you show the question on a screen. Each one of them answers, and then the app ranks the best score according to obviously correct answers, but also speed. It's really simple, really easy making these questions. It takes, I don't know, maybe, once you do 2 or 3 of those, it can take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, prepare one before a class. We should always seek and search for new ways, new platforms, even if something is working and the students like it. Let's find a better way to do it, or a different way, right? We should always challenge and trigger and engage our students into new things. Again, sometimes something is working, right? Maybe I'm playing a game with my students and they totally love it. They want to play it again and again and again, but I should stop. I should ask myself, maybe I can change the rules. Maybe I can let them rewrite some of the rules. Maybe I can play it in a different way. Even simple things like, let's not play a game at the end of the class. Let's play it at the beginning of the class. Many simple steps and things we can do to always keep them engaged, always keep them at the edge of their seats, right? Making them waiting for the next class. Last thing I wanted to address is you are a great listener. And I would like to address the issue of listening to our students. Again, sounds obvious, sounds like the fundamental principle of every class, but we sometimes tend to forget it. And I'd like to suggest another point of view, which is the lesson plan is not the most important thing. Especially when we teach online, when, as I said, one click leads to another. Sometimes it is important to listen to our students, to hear what they ask, to hear what they want to do, even if it sounds maybe, I don't know, silly, or sometimes we refer to it as a distraction. Sometimes we tell ourselves that the children don't want to learn, or they try to waste our time. I think it's not true. I think the students want to learn. Maybe they want to learn other things, right? They want to study differently, right? Or they're looking for different subjects. And I often find myself planning a class, dealing with, I don't know, places in the city, and I find myself listening to Katy Perry for half an hour with my students. Right? Again, it's a privilege I have as an English teacher, because anything I do in English is fine with me, right? As long as the students read and listen and speak and write, right? Anything can be a class. But I think it applies to any other subject. I think, I don't know, if you teach science, then science is everywhere. And if you teach math, everything has numbers. So it's enough to listen to your students, let them lead. Sometimes I teach or I use the same lesson plan with, I don't know, 10 students over a week. And I'm so happy that a student of mine comes out of nowhere saying, "Oh, I'm flying with my family to Italy." Great. Let's delete the lesson plan. Let's talk about Italy. Don't say, "I don't know." Say, "Let's learn together." You can use, again, go on sightseeing tours online, book hotels, right? Go on restaurants with them, right? Everything is online and it's super easy. And when you follow a subject or something that interests them, it's like mind blowing, right? They
Yeah.
are super engaged. They will create the class themselves. You don't need to do anything, just sit there and listen.
Yeah, as soon as you facilitated that trigger of the inner motivation just to want to learn, they'll find the way.
Exactly.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for your time, really, and for sharing your wisdom and your tips and tricks with our audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you liked what Guy shared with us. His 3 tips were very interesting. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to become the next guest, and if you want to be interviewed for tips and tricks, please send us an email. And thank you for watching us.